SoFi reports their Q1 earnings on Monday before the market opens, and just a few days before earnings earlier this week, some people were noticing some interesting posts from the CEO Anthony Noto, potentially dropping some hints around what the earnings results could be. In addition to that, I'm going to be talking about SoFi's plans to redeem all outstanding shares of their Series 1 preferred stock on May 29th, and also some earnings predictions as we head into Monday. Lots to talk about, so let's jump right into it. Okay, so I want to preface this video by saying in the last couple of weeks leading up to earnings, there's not really a lot from a news perspective. Over the past week, however, we saw earnings prediction from myself, from Tanner, from Chris Hager, and others, and overall, we fall into a pretty tight range of our expectations. But before I go into all of that, just a quick reminder that I make these videos on a weekly basis talking about the company, and this includes weeks similar to this one where we haven't had too much news to talk about. But if you do enjoy these videos and you want to stay updated, subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure you're subscribed to the channel because on Monday morning, I'm going to be live streaming SoFi's earnings to hundreds, if not thousands, of viewers. So don't miss out on that. Let's now jump over to the stock price. Over the past 5 days, SoFi has increased about 10%. And interestingly, it's also shooting up in the after hours as of this recording. This is likely in anticipation for the earnings. So the stock closed off at $7.87. And in after hours right now, it's above $8 per share. As we know, the company is going to report before the market opens, so there's not really any opportunity to buy SoFi stock until the results are in. If you're only trading during regular hours, you'd be limited to buying it in after hours until 8 p.m. tonight or in the pre-market before the market opens on Monday. Okay, so with the news, last Monday I saw a piece of news around the PGL Golf League, which is starting in January 2025. Tiger Woods posted on X where he unveiled his PGL 4-player roster. He released a video on Twitter basically announcing his team as the league is getting ready to kick off in January. And look, I'm not a golf fan, so I'm not going to pretend to understand who's on his team or what that means. But one thing I took away from this news is just how close the TGL Golf League is. It's just around the corner. By this time next year, we could be seeing regular updates around that league being promoted by multiple different celebrities, similar to what we have today with the NBA. 2025, it seems like a very far off distant date, but these recurring pieces of news sort of keep it top of mind as we're quickly approaching that time frame when we're going to kick that league off. As we know, the league was supposed to be kicked off by now, but we had the stadium collapsing in November, so the season was pushed off to 2025. I also posted on Wednesday around the 8K that dropped this week where SoFi announced their plan to redeem all the outstanding shares of their Series 1 redeemable preferred stock on May 29, 2024. This amounts to a total payment of $340 million, and it's supposed to save the company an estimated $29 million in dividend payments for the year. Much of this we already knew from the convertible note offering news, which broke last month. The money that's going to be used to pay off these preferred stockholders was cash that was raised during the 2029 convertible note offering deal, and it's going to help the company save additional money. Now, one thing you might be thinking when looking at this is, these preferred shares are valued at $105 and pay a 12.5% annual dividend. Like, where do I get my hands on these? Well, unfortunately, you can't. They're remnants of SoFi when it was a private company, and so you can't get them anymore after they basically deprecate them. One of the interesting points here that people pointed out was that Anthony Noto is part of the preferred stockholders who are being paid out. Granted, he has a pretty negligible amount, I think 6,000 shares. Nothing really to see here. It wouldn't raise any alarm bells. In fact, I might even go so far as to say that he might just buy SoFi stock with the proceeds in his personal name. We'll see. But overall, not a huge groundbreaking piece of news because most of it we already knew from the 2029 convertible note offering. However, I did find a more interesting angle on this post, and this was all made by Vadim on Reddit. The post reads, quote, "Everyone already knows SoFi is redeeming the Series 1 redeemable preferred shares. You all know the interest on it was 12.5%, and this was due to increase in May. This results in SoFi paying Anthony Noto $630,000 to redeem his 6,000 shares, paying Silver Lake $23.9 million for their 228,000 shares, and paying the Qatar Investment Authority $315 million for their 3 million shares." So like I said, the total amount was around 340 million-ish. That's how it breaks out. Vadim's post continues. What you might not be aware is that QIA and Silver Lake have a seat on SoFi's board, which would expire if they go below 50% of their position in SoFi when SoFi went through the business combination, or 5% of the outstanding shares at that time. Silver Lake has 31 million shares, so losing these redeemable shares won't impact them. QIA, however, has no additional shares of SoFi. Losing these 3 million shares would lose them their board seat. That being said, Noto, QIA, and Silver Lake have outstanding warrants still remaining. These warrants are expected to expire soon in May of 2024. A total of 12.1 million Series H warrants, which breaks out in the following: 22,000 for Noto, 858,000 for Silver Lake, and 11.2 million for QIA. I expect all of these to be converted into shares by the expiration May 19th. This would likely enable QIA to maintain their board seat. And obviously, this is amazing due diligence done by Vadim, a great resource in the community. And of course, when we're talking about this conversion, it would be a dilutive event, as SoFi would be issuing those shares for those warrants. These warrants would convert likely at a 1-to-1 ratio, and they have been exercisable since SoFi became a public company. However, they are expiring at the end of May, and they have an exercise price of $8.86. So realistically, SoFi needs to stay above this price by May 19th for it to make sense to convert those warrants into shares. Otherwise, the QIA can then just buy the shares in the open market for much cheaper than the exercise price, similar to how a call option would expire worthless if you're below that strike price. So obviously we'll keep track of that. But moving on in the news, we had earnings predictions this week. And basically everybody who I've looked at their earnings prediction comes in somewhere between 1 cent and 3 cents EPS. And I want to remind everybody that Wall Street analysts out there have SoFi reporting single-digit millions, equating to 0 in EPS value. It's like under half a cent EPS. So if SoFi came in and reported 1 cent EPS, this would be a beat on analyst expectations. And if you look at the trend here on this table, the trend is that SoFi consistently reports anywhere with 2 cents to 4 cents higher than the analyst expectation on any given quarter. They have a history of beating that bottom line. My personal prediction have 1.5 cents to 2 cents EPS, which would equate to something like 35 to 40 million in net income. Now, where this got funny is a post that Anthony Noto made on Wednesday commenting on his opinions around Gen Z financial ambitions, but he used the phrase "my 2 cents." Now, this is a pretty common expression. I thought it would make an interesting headline for this video that I was going to record. I definitely don't think he's trying to send some hidden signal for the earnings, but I do believe that 2 cents is within the realm of possibility for SoFi. I think it's actually very likely that they might report 2 cents EPS. And thinking to myself after making that post was, if the company does actually end up reporting 2 cents EPS, everyone is going to try to read between the lines of any Anthony Noto post in the future to try to get some hints or an advantage over what they might be reporting. I don't think that he was secretly dropping hints though, but interesting that people associated it in that sense. I also saw this post of several people getting robocalls from Anthony Noto, reminding them of the upcoming shareholder vote for the annual meeting. Of course, when I say Anthony Noto, I mean this was just a recording of Anthony Noto's voice. It's not like he's personally calling people out there. Just as a reminder, SoFi's annual meeting will be on May 21st, where investors are expected to vote on several proposals, including compensation, nominees for the board of directors, and the employee stock purchase plan. So there's a lot of events that are transpiring at the end of May with the QIA and the warrants and just the Series 1 preferred shares. And also the annual meeting is also going to be that same week, essentially. So the board of directors might be shifting around. With that said, there's going to be some proposals that are preferred by management. And as a result, people are getting these robocalls on their voting. I just want to make a call out that if you are a SoFi investor, make sure to vote in the shareholder meeting. And the last thing I want to mention in this video is that the bank numbers might be coming out later tonight. We've seen in previous quarters where bank numbers have gone ahead of the actual earnings report, which gives us a hint of what SoFi might be reporting. Sometimes they come out in advance, sometimes they don't, but just wanted to flag that out. So make sure to tune in tonight at the SoFi Weekly Podcast. It's going to be the last podcast before the earnings, the pre-show, if you will. And of course, don't forget to tune in Monday morning bright and early and this channel for the earnings live stream. I will see you all there. Thank you so much for watching.